From luxury homes in Los Angeles to cozy family moments, Kamala Harris's lifestyle in 2025 is all about balancing success with staying grounded. Ever wondered how the former vice president lives now? Well, get ready to take a peek inside her world. And it all starts with her luxurious Brentwood home. Let's take a look inside. Kamala Harris and Doug Emhoff's Brentwood estate is seriously impressive. It's one of those places you'd probably see on a celebrity house tour and think, wow, that's where a former vice president lives. The house is located in Brentwood, which is one of the fanciest neighborhoods in Los Angeles. Just to give you an idea, Brentwood is the kind of place where you might bump into LeBron James or Gwyneth Paltrow while walking your dog. It's super upscale and known for being a quiet, beautiful area filled with big, luxurious homes. Kamala and Doug bought this house way back in 2012 for about $2.7 million. At the time, it was already a pretty expensive buy, but since then, its value has skyrocketed. Now, it's estimated to be worth around $5 million. That's almost double what they paid for it, which is kind of crazy but also not surprising considering how the real estate market in Los Angeles has been going. It's definitely a smart investment because Brentwood is one of those neighborhoods that just keeps getting more popular and valuable. The house itself is pretty awesome. It's a spacious 3,500 square foot home, which is massive compared to most regular houses. Inside, there are 4 bedrooms, which means there's plenty of room for guests or family to stay over. The layout is probably super comfortable, since it's meant to be a home for 2 busy people who need a place to relax and unwind. It also has multiple bathrooms, which is honestly just convenient, especially when you're living in a big place like that. One of the coolest features of the house is definitely the backyard. It has a gorgeous pool, which just makes sense because in Los Angeles, it's sunny almost all the time. Having a pool is almost a must if you're living in such a warm, sunny city. You can just imagine Kamala and Doug hosting a backyard barbecue with friends and family, cooling off in the pool, and just enjoying some downtime. Plus, the pool area looks super nice, like something out of a magazine. It's surrounded by well-kept landscaping, making it feel like a little private oasis right in the middle of the city. The house is designed to feel modern and comfortable at the same time. It's not one of those super flashy celebrity mansions that feel like a museum. Instead, it feels like a real home, which makes sense since Kamala and Doug are pretty down-to-earth people despite being super successful. The inside is likely decorated with a mix of modern and classic touches, maybe even some personal memorabilia from their careers and travels. While her Brentwood estate is impressive, it's not the only remarkable place Kamala has called home. Let's step back in time to her official VP residence. Number 1 Observatory Circle is such a cool and historic place. It's the official residence of the Vice President of the United States, and it's located in Washington, D.C. This house is seriously massive. It's around 9,000 square feet, which is like living in a mansion. It's way bigger than most homes, and that makes sense because it's meant to host important people and events. It's not just a house, it's more like a big fancy estate. The house is designed in the Queen Anne style, which basically means it looks super classic and elegant. Think of a big old house with lots of character. That's what this place looks like. It has these really cool architectural details like turrets, a wide porch, and all these decorative touches that give it that old school charm. Even though it's really grand and official looking, it still feels like a home, which is kind of a rare vibe for a government building. What's even more amazing about number 1 Observatory Circle is that it has 33 rooms. Seriously, that's a lot of space. There are rooms for everything: bedrooms, living rooms, dining areas, offices, and even rooms that are just there to look fancy. Plus, the whole place is set on about 13 acres of land, which means it's surrounded by tons of green space. There are gardens, trees, and just a lot of open area, which makes it feel peaceful and kind of secluded, even though it's in the middle of the busy city. When Kamala Harris moved in, she wanted to make the place feel more like her own. One of the coolest things she did was bring in a famous interior designer named Sheila Bridges. Sheila is known for her bold and stylish designs, and she definitely put her unique touch on the house. One of the most talked about changes was the hot pink wallpaper she used in the library. It's not what you'd expect in a vice president's house, but that's exactly what makes it so cool. It's colorful, vibrant, and totally stands out. It really reflects Kamala's personality. Strong, confident, and not afraid to make a statement. After leaving the VP residence, Kamala didn't just settle down in one spot. She also had a modern place in DC that's worth checking out. The Westlight condo in Washington, D.C., that Kamala Harris and Doug Emhoff once owned, is definitely one of those modern, stylish places you'd expect a high-profile couple to live in. They bought it back in 2017 when Kamala was just starting her journey as a U.S. Senator. It was kind of like their city base, since being a senator meant spending a lot of time in D.C. The condo itself was located in the West End neighborhood, which is known for being pretty upscale and convenient. The Westlight building is one of those super sleek and modern high-rises that almost looks like a luxury hotel from the outside. It's made of glass and has this cool contemporary vibe that just screams high-end city living. The condo they bought wasn't just any ordinary unit. It had all the fancy features you could think of. First off, the building itself has a rooftop pool, which is pretty awesome when you're living in the middle of a big city. You can just imagine how relaxing it must have been to take a dip up there, with a view of the entire DC skyline. Besides the pool, one of the most convenient features of living at Westlight was the 24-hour concierge service. It's like having someone there to help you out with whatever you need at any time of day or night. Whether it's handling packages, arranging transportation, or dealing with maintenance issues, the concierge has got it covered. For someone as busy as Kamala, that must have been a lifesaver. The inside of the condo was probably just as impressive as the building itself. These units are known for having floor-to-ceiling windows, so they're super bright and filled with natural light. The views from the windows are amazing too, since you can see so much of the city from up high. The interior is all about clean lines and modern finishes, like sleek kitchens with high-quality appliances and spacious open living areas. It's definitely a step up from a typical apartment, giving off a really classy and comfortable vibe. Kamala and Doug decided to sell the condo in 2021 after Kamala became vice president. It made sense because, as VP, she was going to be living at number 1 Observatory Circle, which is the official residence for the vice president. There wasn't really a need for them to keep the condo when they had such a big, historic house to move into. Plus, it's not like she would have had much time to stay there, considering how demanding the VP role is. When they sold it, they actually made a bit of a profit. They originally bought the condo for about $1.775 million, and when they put it on the market, it ended up selling for around $1.85 million. It's not a huge profit compared to the value of some other properties they own, but it's still pretty good. At the end of the day, it was a smart move to let it go since they weren't going to be using it anymore, and it freed them from having to worry about maintaining an extra place. But Kamala's real estate story doesn't end there. One of her most sentimental properties has to be the historic condo in San Francisco. The San Francisco condo that Kamala Harris once owned has a pretty cool backstory. It wasn't just any ordinary place. It was actually where Doug Emhoff proposed to her. The condo was located in the Soma district, which is a trendy and bustling area in San Francisco. Back in 2004, Kamala bought the loft-style condo for around $489,000. At the time, she was serving as the district attorney of San Francisco, and it made sense for her to have a place in the city since her job was pretty demanding. The condo itself was about 1,000 square feet, which might sound small compared to some of the other places Kamala has lived. But for a city like San Francisco, it was a decent size. The loft style gave it an open, airy feeling, with high ceilings and big windows that let in a lot of light. It was a perfect spot for someone with a busy lifestyle like Kamala, who needed a cozy yet functional place to call home. The most memorable thing about the condo is definitely the proposal. Doug Emhoff, who would later become her husband, popped the question right there in that very loft. It must have been a really special moment, especially because it wasn't in some grand public place, but rather a personal and meaningful setting. By the time Kamala sold the condo in 2021, its value had almost doubled. She sold it for about $860,000, which is a pretty good profit from what she originally paid. The real estate market in San Francisco is kind of wild like that. Properties in good locations just keep going up in value. Plus, The Soma district had become even more popular over the years, so it's no surprise that the condo was worth so much more when she decided to sell it. This condo also holds a lot of significance because it's linked to Kamala's early career. When she bought it, she was focused on her role as SF's district attorney, working hard to make a difference in the city. Living in Soma meant she was right in the middle of the action, close to her office and the courthouse. It was a place where she could unwind after long days while staying connected to the city she served. While California will always be special to Kamala, there's been talk of a big move to the East Coast. Let's see what's brewing in New York. There's been some buzz lately about Kamala Harris and Doug Emhoff possibly moving to New York City. It's not completely confirmed, but people started talking about it after Doug was seen checking out a luxury apartment in Manhattan. The place he looked at is called the Park Loggia, which is a super fancy high-rise on the Upper West Side. It's one of those places that looks like it belongs in a movie, with huge windows and amazing city views. Apparently, the apartment he toured costs about $20,000 per month to rent, so it's definitely high-end. It makes sense that they might want a place in New York, especially because Doug's job has been taking him there more often. After Kamala's term as vice president ended, Doug went back to his career as a lawyer. He joined a big law firm called Wilkie Farr & Gallagher, where he works as a partner. The firm is based in New York, so Doug's been splitting his time between Los Angeles and Manhattan. Having a place to stay in the city would probably make his life a lot easier, since constantly flying back and forth can get pretty exhausting. The Park Loggia itself is exactly the kind of place you'd expect someone in Doug's position to consider. It's super modern and stylish, with all the luxurious amenities you can think of. There's a rooftop terrace, a fitness center, and even a movie screening room. The whole vibe of the building is sleek and elegant, which fits Doug and Kamala's professional lifestyle. Plus, being on the Upper West Side means they'd be close to Central Park, which is a nice bonus when you need a break from the city hustle. Wherever Kamala goes, Doug is right by her side. Let's take a closer look at the man who's always been her biggest supporter. Before Kamala Harris became vice president, Doug was already pretty successful in his own right. He was a well-known entertainment lawyer in California, and his career was going really well. He worked with some big clients in media and sports, earning a lot of money, like a 7-figure salary, which is pretty impressive. But when Kamala became VP, Doug made a huge career change to support her. He left his law firm, which couldn't have been an easy decision, considering how well he was doing. Instead of continuing as a high-profile lawyer, Doug decided to take a job as a law professor at Georgetown University. It wasn't nearly as lucrative as his old job. His salary dropped significantly to around $200,000 per year, but it was more flexible and allowed him to focus on supporting Kamala. Doug didn't just take a step back in his career, he also took on a public service role, which he embraced wholeheartedly. As the first ever second gentleman, he made history just by being in that role, and he used his position to make a difference. During Kamala's time as VP, Doug became known for his diplomatic efforts and public service work. He wasn't just staying in the background, he got involved in meaningful causes. One of his most significant contributions was leading efforts to combat anti-Semitism, which is something he's really passionate about. He also represented the U.S. at important events, like when he led the delegation to the 2024 Olympics in Paris. Doug always seemed to handle these responsibilities with a positive attitude and a lot of enthusiasm. People really appreciated how he wasn't just Kamala's husband, but was actively contributing in his own way. Now that Kamala's vice president term has ended, Doug has gone back to his legal career, but in a slightly different way. In 2025, he joined a big global law firm called Wilkie Farr & Gallagher as a partner. It's a pretty major position, and it shows that even after his time in the public eye, he's still highly respected in the legal world. At the firm, he focuses on complex litigation and advises corporate clients, which sounds pretty intense but also right up his alley. Doug isn't the only one with unique preferences. Kamala's car choices also reflect her balanced lifestyle. Let's see what's in her garage. Kamala Harris's car collection is actually pretty interesting because it's not what you'd expect from someone who's been vice president. Instead of flashy, expensive cars, her choices are more practical and down to earth. The two cars she's known for are the Chevy Bolt EV and the Chevrolet Suburban. At first, it kind of sounds like a weird combination because one is an electric compact car and the other is a massive SUV. But it actually makes sense when you think about her lifestyle and priorities. Let's start with the Chevy Bolt EV. This car is all about being eco-friendly and practical. It's fully electric, which totally fits with Kamala's commitment to sustainability and climate issues. The Bolt has an electric driving range of over 250 miles on a full charge, which is pretty good for a compact car. It's affordable compared to other electric cars, and it's actually one of the more popular EVs in the US because of that. On the flip side, Kamala also has a Chevrolet Suburban, and this car is the complete opposite of the Bolt. The Suburban is a huge 3-row SUV that's built for power and space. It's got a 6.2-liter V8 engine, which means it's really powerful and can carry a lot of people and equipment. This car is actually pretty typical for political figures because it's roomy enough for security details and staff. The Suburban is often seen in motorcades too because it's reliable and can handle a lot of gear. During her vice presidency, Kamala didn't drive much herself because of security reasons. Instead, she was usually seen in government-issued cars, like armored Cadillacs and Chevrolet SUVs. These vehicles are specially made to keep her safe, with bulletproof features and secure communication systems. It's just part of being in such a high-profile role. Safety comes first. While her cars are practical, air travel is a whole different story. Kamala's approach to flying has definitely changed over the years. Kamala Harris's air travel has always been kind of a big deal, especially when she was vice president. Back then, she didn't just hop on a regular plane like most people. Instead, she usually traveled on Air Force Two, which is basically the vice president's version of Air Force One. It's not a specific plane, but more of a call sign for any U.S. Air Force jet carrying the VP. Most of the time, it's a modified Boeing C-32, which is a fancy version of a military 757. The plane is seriously impressive. It has secure communications, a private office, a bedroom, and even a conference area. It's designed for both comfort and safety, which is super important for someone in such a high position. Traveling on Air Force Two was a huge perk, because Kamala didn't have to worry about booking flights or dealing with airport lines. Plus, it's not just about luxury. It's also about keeping her safe and connected while traveling. The plane is basically like a flying office, so she could work while on the go. During her time as vice president, Kamala used Air Force Two for official trips, both inside the US and internationally. It was a big part of her routine whenever she needed to travel for work. However, things were a bit different when it came to personal or campaign travel. During the 2024 presidential campaign, Kamala's team used chartered private jets instead of Air Force Two. Campaign finance rules say that government planes can't be used for campaign purposes without the campaign paying back the cost. So instead of dealing with that hassle, Kamala's team just rented private jets for campaign stops. These flights were definitely not cheap. Reports say that her campaign spent around $12 million on private jet travel during the whole campaign, with about $2.6 million spent just in the final few weeks. It makes sense because running a national campaign means a lot of travel, and time is super important. Now that Kamala's vice president term is over, her travel habits have changed a lot. She doesn't have access to Air Force Two anymore, obviously. These days, she's mostly seen flying commercially like a regular person, especially when it's just personal or low-key trips. Sometimes, if it's a special event or a really important occasion, she might still use a charter flight, but it's way less frequent than during the campaign. All these luxuries don't come cheap. Let's break down Kamala's impressive net worth and how she built it over the years. Kamala Harris's net worth in 2025 is around $8 million, which is a pretty big number. But when you compare it to other high-profile politicians, it's actually not as huge as you might think. A lot of politicians, especially those who've been in the game for a while, have way more, sometimes even in the hundreds of millions. But for Kamala and her husband Doug Emhoff, their wealth comes from a few key places, and it makes sense when you look at their careers and life choices. One of the biggest parts of their net worth is their real estate, especially their Brentwood home in Los Angeles. Another significant source of income for Kamala has been her book deals. Before becoming vice president, she wrote a few books that did really well. One of her most popular ones is her memoir, The Truths We Hold. She got a $300,000 advance just for that book, and she's also earned royalties from its sales. Plus, she wrote a children's book called Superheroes Are Everywhere, which also made money. Altogether, her book deals have brought in around $500,000 over the years. Writing books is pretty common for politicians because it not only makes money but also helps build their public image. When it comes to investments, Kamala and Doug are pretty conservative. They don't take big risks with their money. Instead of going for flashy stocks or risky ventures, they stick to safer options like index funds and retirement accounts. A lot of their money is in diversified funds that are designed to grow steadily without too much drama. Kamala also has deferred compensation plans and federal thrift savings from her time in public service, which are basically safe ways to save for the future. Doug used to have some individual stock holdings before Kamala became a senator, but he sold most of them when she took office to avoid any conflict of interest. They've kept their money management pretty straightforward and cautious, focusing on preserving what they've earned rather than making quick gains. Their combined income has fluctuated over the years, mostly because Doug's job changed when Kamala became VP. Before that, he was making over $1 million a year as a high-profile entertainment lawyer. But he left his law firm when Kamala took office and started teaching at Georgetown University, where his salary was much lower, around $200,000 a year. Kamala's VP salary was about $235,100 per year, which is decent, but not anywhere near what they were used to making before. This made their household income drop significantly during her vice presidency, down to about $450,000 per year. Now that Kamala's vice president term is over, Doug is back in the private sector, working as a partner at the law firm Wilkie Farr and Gallagher. He's probably making a high six-figure or even seven-figure salary again, which is going to boost their finances going forward. But even with that, their approach to money is still careful and planned out. They're not into flashy investments or spending. Alongside her net worth, Kamala's fashion has always made a statement. Let's see why her style choices resonate with so many. Kamala Harris's fashion sense is honestly pretty cool because it's a mix of professional and casual that just feels really real. She doesn't try to be super glamorous or over the top, but she still has a style that makes a statement. One of the most iconic parts of her look is definitely her love for Converse sneakers. It's kind of unusual to see a high-profile political figure rocking Chucks, but that's what makes it so awesome. During her campaign, people noticed right away that Kamala wasn't just sticking to the typical politician uniform of dress shoes and heels. Instead, she would wear her Converse, whether she was on the campaign trail, visiting communities, or even during some official events. The Converse sneakers became more than just shoes. They actually symbolized her down-to-earth attitude and energy. Kamala once joked that she likes to run through airports in her Converse, and that just shows how practical and no-nonsense she is. The Chucks kind of became a thing, and a lot of her supporters started wearing them too, almost as a way to show solidarity and admiration. It was like saying, "I get where you're coming from." It wasn't just about looking cool. It was about being relatable and comfortable while still getting stuff done. Another big part of Kamala's fashion is her signature pearls. Ever since she was in college at Howard University and became a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha, a historically black sorority, pearls have been part of her look. They represent elegance, grace, and a connection to her roots, especially since Alpha Kappa Alpha is known for wearing pearls as a symbol of sisterhood and strength. During the inauguration, so many people wore Chucks and pearls to honor her style and what she represents. It was like a whole movement, especially among women who felt inspired by her journey and success. What makes Kamala's style really unique is how she blends professional attire with these personal touches. She's often seen in tailored pantsuits in neutral colors, like navy, black, and beige. It's a look that says she's serious and ready to work, but the addition of her Converse or her pearls keeps it from feeling too stiff or traditional. It's almost like she's saying that you can be powerful and approachable at the same time. Her style choices became a big part of her campaign's identity, showing that she wasn't trying to fit the usual political mold. Another thing that makes Kamala's fashion really meaningful is how she supports black designers. She's been seen wearing pieces from designers like Pierre Moss, Christopher John Rogers, and Sergio Hudson, who are all known for their unique and bold fashion perspectives. By choosing their designs, Kamala not only looks stylish, but also uplifts Black talent in the fashion world. It's a deliberate choice that reflects her commitment to diversity and representation, even in the way she dresses. When she wore that purple ensemble by Christopher John Rogers on Inauguration Day, it wasn't just about looking good, it was a statement about unity and breaking barriers, since purple is a color that symbolizes bipartisanship. Style isn't the only thing Kamala's known for. She's also a big fan of cooking. Here's how she makes time for one of her favorite hobbies. Even with all the important roles she's had, like being vice president, she's never lost her passion for making good food. Cooking is more than just a hobby for her. It's a way to relax, connect with people, and share stories about her heritage. She's actually pretty proud of her skills in the kitchen and doesn't hesitate to show them off when she gets the chance. One of the coolest things Kamala did was start a little series called Cooking with Kamala back in 2019. It wasn't some fancy professional cooking show. It was more like hanging out in the kitchen with her while she made some of her favorite dishes. One of the most popular episodes was when she made masala dosa with actress Mindy Kaling. It was just so genuine and fun to watch because you could tell Kamala was totally in her element. She shared her recipe and talked about her mom, who passed down a lot of her cooking knowledge. People loved it because it wasn't just about the food. It was about culture, family, and keeping traditions alive. Kamala's cooking is influenced by her mixed heritage. Her mom was Indian and her dad was Jamaican, so she grew up with a blend of Indian and Southern cuisines. One of her signature dishes is Indian masala dosa, a crispy, savory crepe filled with spiced potatoes. She also loves cooking comfort foods from the South, like cornbread and collard greens. It's pretty cool how she mixes flavors from both sides of her family, creating meals that reflect who she is. She once said that she cooks because she likes to eat good food, and that's honestly so relatable. Even during her busy schedule, Kamala would find time to unwind by trying out new recipes or cooking for friends and family. She's even known for making a mean tuna melt, which she taught some of her Senate colleagues how to make. It's little things like this that make her feel more down to earth, despite being such a high-profile figure. Behind the scenes, Kamala is all about family. Let's take a peek at how she keeps her loved ones close while balancing her public life. Kamala Harris and Doug Emhoff are pretty good at balancing their busy lives with spending quality time with family. Even with all the public attention and crazy schedules, they make sure to keep their family life close and real. One of the best things about their relationship is how they've created a strong, supportive environment for each other and their loved ones. It's obvious that no matter how hectic things get, family always comes first. Kamala is really close to her stepkids, Ella and Cole, who are Doug's children from his previous marriage. Even though she's their stepmom, they don't call her that. Instead, they came up with the nickname Mamala, which is honestly adorable and shows how much they love her. Kamala has always made an effort to bond with them, and it's clear they have a really tight relationship. Whether it's celebrating birthdays, holidays, or just hanging out at home, Kamala makes sure to be present and involved. One of the things that really shows how close they are is how they celebrate milestones together. When Ella had her fashion shows, since she's a model and designer, Kamala and Doug were right there, cheering her on and being proud parents. They also make time for simple family moments, like cooking dinner together or catching up after a long day. It's not just about big events, but about keeping that everyday connection strong. What do you think about Kamala's lifestyle? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed exploring her world, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update.